Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
some of them read their blessings from the book and some from the sheets, and so trying to make sure that I have everything, in the right place at the right time. So for my book, when I'm about to do, we're about to pass the scroll, I bring my book over to the ark, and I leave it in the ark and take the scroll out, because the next time I need my book is when we're at the ark for Elena, so it's already there. And so yesterday we did a walkthrough, but we stopped in the middle because we didn't need to do the ending. So that's where my book was still in the ark. That's why I went into this. You may not have noticed it before, but I'm sure next for our bat mitzvah you'll see me put my book in there. So are we eating the whole ballet, or what are we doing? Well, I've seen, the joke about the minister and the ballet and the cow? Mark seems to remember me telling this joke, but I seem to remember Lois telling it. It doesn't matter. So someone comes to church one morning, and the minister's there, and it's only just one farmer, just one person. And the minister says, what do you want to do? And the farmer says, well, if only one cow comes to eat, we still got to feed it. So the minister does the whole entire service, one cow comes, I want to get the whole ballet.
Nobody's been on the chat. I can ask. Is anyone out? The live stream is over. I can find out, but not sure. Oh no, I wouldn't know the names.
Oh, it doesn't matter, I'm just saying, there's nobody.
Right, then at least you'd know. I wonder if we went through our YouTube channel and broadcast it there. Can you tell on YouTube how many people are watching something if it's live? I know on Facebook Live you can, right? You can see how many. It tells you the number as you're watching. Yeah.
I don't even know where our YouTube, where this YouTube channel is. It's opposed to. It's not the same as.
Yeah.
No. There is a YouTube channel, but it's not the same YouTube channel that I post things from time to time.
Because, well, it may or may not be, but hang on a second. The YouTube channel that was created for Temple Production was created by me with Jacob on the phone because it needed to be done for the live stream account. So how that evolved afterwards, I don't know, but the YouTube channel I created was specifically for Live Patrol. So you create. Okay.
I can't remember what happened, but it's not the same.
It's a different version. All right. Yeah.
There's no need.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is,
Website, I can point them to any, they just go to livestreampray.org and you can see all the old services.
right? Because that's where the archive. That's where
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. It's pros and cons to both, but
Did you prepare any reading today?
it did in fact. Torah, I'm going to share a bar Torah from my teacher Ben Hollander. What's bothering Rashi guy?
there a Saturday morning version of the Kabbalah? Yeah, beginning words, you know, Pesuke everything wrong.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do, you know what? We'll give you a little taste of the high holidays. So one of the things that Cantor and I are going to do in Mishkan Nefesh, the suitcase in go on for the Nisim, sorry, they go on for 3 pages. So it's 124, 126, and 128. And basically what we're talking about is here, it's on page 106 and 107. And so traditionally they're chanted. Sorry? Yeah, exactly. So the leader starts and then everybody responds and goes back and forth. So what we're going to do on my holidays is I'm going to announce that the cantor's going to start. I'm going to respond, and for those 3 pages, 124, 126, and 128, he and I are going to go back and forth, and knowing what everybody knows about the pages in between, because there's a gray page, there's a blue page. Or browse through the white pages, the gray pages, the blue pages. Either way, at the end of page 129, and then at the end of all those questions on it or on their own. All right, so let's do the thing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sept Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Melech haolam malbish harumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanotein laya'ef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shena me'enai utnuma me'afapai. And we have a, well, it's not new. I mean, the melody's been around for a while, but you know how we've been doing Hashivenu Adonai. So in the spirit of Elul, there's a melody that I think we've done it at biennials, but it's called Return Again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to return again. So those words are actually printed in the machzor, and so we're gonna sing that. That'll appear a number of times through the holidays. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. Well, we can certainly do. Let's sing Ma Tovu. That's a nice way to kind of start the morning. So, any particular melody? Any favorite? Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma Tovu Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Va'ani berov chastecha avovetecha, Eshtachave el heichal kodshecha be'yiratecha, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Va'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chasdecha, aneni bemet ishecha, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. That's nice. And let's see. Any, taking requests. Any favorites out there? I have the microphone on just in case somebody signs on. They know that we're really here. Any requests out in the cyber world? Anybody out there? We're not sure if there's anyone with us this morning online. So if you're here online and you have a request, we're kind of doing the best of the Shabbat morning service. There you go. So at camp, where the Via Hafta, right? So we know the chanting with the trope, and we know the Debbie Friedman version of the English. So there used to be this kind of upbeat version that we did at camp in the Hebrew with the Hebrew, and it was really very popular, very whatever. And then people started to get really careful about how words were, pronounced, the emphasis, make sure the emphasis on the right syllable, that kind of thing. And so while this Via Hafta melody was really popular, like all the words were like emphasized wrong and everything, so it fell out of favor. So I'll do it for you. Via Hafta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha lai 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 Lai, lai, la, lai, lai, vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha, lai, lai, ya, lai, 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 Lie, 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 lie. Bishinantam livanecha vidibarta bam bishiftecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu litotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mizuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Lai, 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 lai. Lie, 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 lie. And there was a big like power like ending, but I don't remember the grand finale.
I think they still do it.
Yeah, they didn't. Well, there were a couple of words in there, but they don't. I mean, I haven't heard. They haven't done it at Harlem in years. Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those, like they do it around the campfire kind of thing, but there are a couple of words in there, like where it says vidibartabam, it's really vidibartabam, it's all kinds of. Except for someone who knows Hebrew and reads it and then it calls us out as not knowing, not knowing the pronunciation. Then, let's see. Want to do Micha? Okay. Mocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osefele, Osefele, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Do we dare do it in a round? Well, so, I'll even, like, if you guys want to sing, like, you... All right, so... Yeah, so... So we'll do Micha Mocha, and then do you want to switch to Nora, or you? And I'll stay with Micha Mocha. Yeah. Okay. Ready? A one, a two, 1, 2, 3. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh, Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osefele, osefele. That was good. Yeah, listen.
I always get concerned with these rounds. What makes it end?
Right, someone just saying, forget it. Right. Well, if you're a song leader at camp, the universal symbol of we're about to finish is you raise the neck of the guitar. So even in the professional world, like you see like rock groups and stuff, it's the pre-appointed person, like the lead singer or whoever it is, they raise the neck of the guitar, and that kind of shows everybody that this is the end. Let's see. And you guys know about the connection between the Kedusha and Santana, right?
No.
Oh, really? So, and it's not really. It's like a couple of degrees, but no. But so Bon Yeshua composed the melody that we use on a regular basis, and he's very well published, and the choir does a couple of his things. So Bon Yeshua has a son named Ital Shore, who won a Grammy in the 90s for composing the song Smooth for Santana and Rob Thomas. Yeah, so I share that during B'nai Mitzvah. There was a time where like all the kids knew Rob Thomas and all the parents knew Santana, and now the kids don't know either, and the parents, like, it depends on where they are. But let's see.
Late 60s.
Listen, I grew up singing Tom Lear and Alan Sherman. Like, I listen to my parents' stuff, It kind of absorbs osmosis. It goes in there.
So I have a question.
Sure.
What do you listen to nowadays if you want to hear foreign music?
Oh.
I wondered about it.
So there's a couple of stations. I usually listen to.
Listen to the radio?
Well, so no, it's all about downloads, and it's all about you can, but I mean our kids don't listen to that. They just download. It's all individual. It's all a la carte. It's the iTunes type thing. So on Spotify and Pandora, and they all have like lists of like the most downloaded and the most trendy. So you see what's popular, and then you can get a sense of what's popular and what's out there. And then people it's all word of mouth for the most part. People talk to each other, and I mean I was listening. There was some game show or something. I forget, some talk show, whatever it was. Someone was talking about all these musical people and I'm like, I didn't even know if it was English they were speaking. Like, I mean, it was crazy. Yeah, hip hop, rap, and people with all these crazy names. So on Sirius they have they have hits. Yeah, so they have the 40s on 4 and the 50s on 5 and the 60s on 6, and they have, that's the Sirius Hits 1. So on station 1 they have all like the yeah. Say, Siri, play. Yeah. What are the kids listening to today? Ask Siri. Siri, what are the kids listening to today? She's intelligent. She'll figure it out. Right. Well, Casey Kasem was popular. Yeah, Murray the K, right? Don Kirshner's a rock concert. That was a little after. Yeah. That was on right after Saturday Night Live. Yeah, but it's all a la carte, and it's all individual stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's not that anymore. Yeah, because they don't listen to radio stations, and the kids don't, for the most part, don't have the satellite radio. But it's either Spotify or Pandora or one of those things, and then, like I said, each of them has their own. You can see what's popular, what's downloaded most, and different categories. Yeah, absolutely. I think I've told this story here about my friend who was she was the director of education at the synagogue in Tenafly, where I first started teaching religious school, but on my own anyway. But she was so she's friends with Quincy Jones. So whenever Quincy Jones would come to New York for like some kind of show or whatever, he would always stay with her. So he would drop her off at the synagogue and then take her car for the day, and all the kids would like see, that was Quincy. Anyway, so it's pretty cool. But she tells the story about being at, because she went with him to the opening ceremonies of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they played a song from every year, like through the years, and she said you could like feel as each song, the next song, you could feel the energy just get, like the music just got angrier and angrier and more intense, and you could kind of feel the energy change through the years. I don't even, I've never even looked at what that list was, because I should probably follow through and see what it is. But she said being there, you could kind of feel it just, kind of morph. But it's on some levels, some of the kids just kind of, there are kids who are on their own, but it almost, becomes like, do you like it? Do you like it? And then, it becomes it's all popular. But there's some stuff that is like, there's so much stuff out there now that it's, no one's really rising to the top. But like, in our day, people really wrote music. Like, the music was told a story. The songs, there weren't, there were some songs that were just Flying Purple People Eater or whatever, but there was, music through time has kind of really, the music means something to the people who embrace it now also. But, you remember Alan Sherman's song, I hate the Beatles? Oh. It's worth listening to. We could listen to it after lunch, but it's all, yeah, it's his commentary. It's to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel, and it's his commentary. It's his commentary on how the world is just going down the tubes. If this is what the the music is like, God save the Queen, that kind of. So anyway. Yeah, vinyl is actually still relatively popular. Yeah, well, they do specials, Yeah. Let's see. George Carlin, Class Clown. That was probably the ending to the. Oh yeah, I read Fox. All right. Familiar. Make Believe Ballroom, that sounds familiar. We should do a Misha Berach. We should acknowledge those in our community. So we think of Bill Bly, Gaylord Conquest, Barbara Foreman, Marvin Fuchs, Gene Kamens, Ruth Kravitz, Steve Matzner, Lois Miller, John Rose, Bill Schneider, Jackie Student, Belvel Ben Avraham, Pete Walsh. If anybody has a name. Any requests? Mi sheberach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May the pain and loneliness we're feeling be diminished by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I love how people put thought into their music. Like this is all like this kind of minor tune, but it's not sad. It's almost like hopeful, and Leon's is like minor, but then it turns into this major El Na'arifana, and then even not even, but Taubman's the same thing. It's a kind of just minor, but it's not. There are minor melodies that bring us down, but it's almost like hopeful. It's like a different kind of feel to it. I don't know. Right. You can't play more than one note at the same time. Yeah.
They need to teach music theory before they teach music. At the same time?
Unless you have like a split, and then you can do. Yeah, absolutely. That was my thing. I learned like most of my experience learning piano was learning how to play a song. I never really learned the theory. Yeah, so I never really got it. Like I can read music and all that kind of stuff, but it's but I never really really got the theory, all that kind of stuff. All right, well I can share with you this. The Torah that I was gonna do was basically something we covered in Torah study. When a soldier is found, when a dead soldier is found, and we don't know who it is, we don't know who killed him, and so they measure to see where the closest city is, right? So just the other day, one of my colleagues put out a request to the rabbinic discussion group, asking anyone who was on that trip to Jordan the CCAR trip to Jordan, if they have any memories of it, she's putting together this collection. She's writing a story about it. And I thought to myself, I go on all these trips. Like, what trip to Jordan? I didn't know about this. And I looked more carefully, and the trip to Jordan was in August of '94, because it was right after they opened up the border. And I was in Israel at the time for rabbinical school, and we were on a trip up north, and not related to anything, but just a fact. We were having lunch at the kibbutz that invented and makes the epilady, that hair removal thing. Anyway, so they're a very wealthy kibbutz. It was a thing for a time. It was like an electronic hair removal thing, and it was one of those infomercial things on TV. But it was made on this kibbutz in Israel, and now they're very wealthy and they're doing okay. So anyway, so they were signed, Clinton or whatever. They were all at the table on the border signing this peace, whatever. And we're in the lobby of the restaurant on the kibbutz, and the madrich, the tour guide, is like, "Come on, we got to go to lunch, and we got to do that." And we're all sitting here like, they're signing a peace treaty. Like they're on the border. Like this is all the whole world is watching. So we actually watched this happen, and then. That was in the summer of '94. And then in April for Passover, my parents came and we actually went into Jordan and did a trip into Jordan. But apparently in August, not long after the thing was signed, the CCAR did a trip. And so I'm looking forward to hearing about that. It was very interesting to hear the request, because they said it was disorganized and they weren't ready for us, but I'm sure we have a lot of stories to tell. Apparently there were 80 rabbis on this trip. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. Right? So this is, I've talked about this book before, To Be Continued. Ben used to say this all the time, Rabbi Hollander, when, like the Hitraot, we'll see each other again. Whenever I finish talking, all right, to be continued, I'll see you again later. That was his little catchphrase. So one of my classmates, who was also one of his students, put together this collection of Divrei Torah that he wrote and shared in different contexts. This particular one was written about this week's portion, and it was presented on Kol Yisrael Radio on August 12th, 1994, the 5th of Elul, 5754. And so it was, right about the time that this whole kind of treaty was happening and all that kind of stuff. So he writes, "The subject of our portion is perhaps best stated in its well-known third verse, Tzedek, Tzedek, Tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue, that you may thrive and inherit the land. The supremacy of the rule of justice is such that even the king must read and observe these laws all the days of his life. The nation must deal with its problems justly, including its means of last resort, war, which also must be just. Indeed, the laws governing war in our portion follow a section of the administration of justice, suggesting, opines Rashi from the Midrash, that success in war is dependent on justice within society. This is not only a divine requirement, it is also logical. Society will be better able to stand up to external enemies if it does not suffer the internal schisms created by injustice. With regards to war itself, the Torah seeks to moderate ancient warfare towards a more moral framework. Quote, "When you draw nigh unto a city to fight against it," our portion instructs, "then proclaim peace unto it." This is actually a formalization of the practice reported in Deuteronomy's first portion, when Moses proceeded to send a peace delegation to the Amorite king after God commanded him to make war on Sichon. The Midrash, noting the conspicuous absence of any divine rebuke of Moses for this impertinence, depicts God as responding positively to Moses' desire to seek peace and pursue it, as Psalm 34 puts it. The command here to offer peace before resorting to war codifies Moses' approach as required future practice. And this is the procedure, according to the sages, followed by Moses' successor, Joshua. He sent the message offering the options of peace or safe departure and fought only those nations that refused his overtures. Although Rashi maintains that the peace option he comments on in our verse does not apply to the 7 pagan Canaanite nations, most of the other commentators argue that it did. They maintain that despite the passages in which God commands wiping out the Canaanite nations, this verse of first opting for peace served as its larger context. However, in order to remain in the Holy Land, the Canaanite nations were to be required to observe the 7 Noahide laws of basic morality. Significantly, our portion continues one episode beyond the laws of war. In so doing, it draws our attention to war's full odiousness. For the Torah here, notes the commentator Ibn Ezra, proceeds to a matter of war in microcosm, one man fighting another, and much as the tomb of the unknown soldier personifies for us the human tragedy of war, our portion describes the finding of the corpse of an unknown victim slain by an unknown assailant, and then outlines an elaborate ritual through which the community atones for this shedding of innocent blood. The Torah, as Professor Nechama Leibowitz points out, desired here to ensure that the loss of a single human being who is unique and irreplaceable should shake the complacency of other human beings and summon them to severe self-scrutiny. She stresses that, quote, the public as a whole and its leaders, indeed their whole way of life and their institutions, are answerable. War as a personal and societal tragedy for which we all bear responsibility was vividly conveyed this week, and this is, I was talking about it in August of '94, when, after the tearing down of barbed wire fences and the removal of old minefields, bereaved families, Israeli and Jordanian, comforted each other with handshakes and gifts as an important part of paving a new road to reconciliation. Much depends on us, the public as a whole of our region, as well as on our leaders. As we look with hope to build a better future here, the descendants of the other son of Abraham must be willing to turn yesterday's sword of Islam into tomorrow's plowshare of coexistence. And Isaac and Jacob, also descendants of Abraham, must be ready to apply Jewish law towards a larger moral responsibility encompassing both ourselves and our neighbors. We cannot, cautions Nechama Leibowitz, connect with the aforementioned lessons about justice and peace in our portion while keeping, quote, to our own quiet corner, observing oppression and violence but not stirring a finger in protest, and then claim with a clear conscience that our hands have not shed blood. The meaning of the ritual performed if a corpse is found in an open field is not only, as one contemporary commentary describes it, that the murder of a Jew is a tragedy for the community. Rather, the same moral criteria must be applied, as was done by the Kahan Commission 12 years ago in connection with the Sabra and Shatila massacres, to examine our connection and fulfillment of responsibility toward all our neighbors. It is the acknowledgement of mutual responsibilities for the tragedies of the past and the commitment to build together a just and humane future that brought the children of Abraham together this week. The Bible was cited and our common legacy referenced. In so doing, our leaders took a dramatic step forward toward the fulfillment of Isaiah's words in our Haftarah reading, Mashmiah Shalom Mevaser Tov, proclaiming peace and heralding good.
Right, we got this peace, everybody expected it would be. The only reason Jordan's still a country is because Israel protects it.
Well, just as a footnote, actually, he says, rather, the same moral criteria must be applied as was done by the Kahan Commission 12 years ago in connection with the Sabra and Shatila massacres. So he mentions right here, he just gives a little footnote. He says, the Sabra and Shatila massacre took place from September 16th to 18th, 1982, in the Sabra neighborhood and Shatila refugee camp in West Beirut, Lebanon. Christian militiamen, Lebanese phalangists, slaughtered Palestinian refugees. The Israeli army surrounded Sabra and Shatila, prevented camp residents from escaping, and shot flares to illuminate the camp at night. The death toll is disputed. Reports range from 800 to 3,500 deaths. The Kahan Commission was established by the Israeli government to investigate the massacre. The commission found that the IDF had knowledge about the massacre and did not take necessary steps to prevent it. Ariel Sharon was found to bear personal responsibility, and he subsequently resigned as defense minister. Yeah, absolutely, and it's all about everybody kind of, owning whatever part you own and working together. Yeah, it's all about working together, you know.
The big difference between what's happened with Abraham with Egypt, which in the psyche of that culture, where so intrinsic to the culture, it can't be eliminated. It's not what I'm saying is here you have situations where don't want to do it. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Very minimal.
at least none that's public and kind of acknowledged. I mean, yeah, everyone deals. You can't not deal with Israel. It's just a matter of who in the world knows knows whether you are or not.
You could cooperate to a large extent or just some minimal.
And quite frankly, I mean, you look what happened with the Arab Spring, right? And in Egypt. And I mean, just the fact that technology is so kind of pervasive in cultures all around the world. I mean, at some point, they're going to have to kind of acknowledge that, because then they'll just be internal strife and internal revolutions in their own countries.
This close to totally being out of war. I don't know, we're going to find out in the next couple of years what happens. And Israel came to them about 10 years ago and was repeatedly we can save you. And South Africa says, get out of here, we don't want to deal with Israel.
And then all the Jews got out of there and either went to Israel or Australia.
So, a lot of times, because of Jew hatred, country will not do what's in their best interest.
Yeah. Yeah, the kibbutz where I lived in college was founded. I mean, you've been there. We went there as part of the TVA trip to visit. They were all South Africans, and there are some. They all have relatives who are still there. At this point, probably. Who knows? But a lot of people left. And on some. Well, on some, and this is not even a really good analogy, so I apologize for bringing it up. But you look at the British royal family, right? So you've got Harry and Meghan, leaving the family and going to live in California, and even William and Kate now kind of to protect that. I mean, at some point, is there really a monarchy? What does that look like? What does that really mean anymore? Or is well, yeah, but yeah. So in today's world, that kind of thing, isn't always, it's kind of viewed. I don't know. It means something different, and it is something different, and at some point, when William is king, is he gonna, kind of make it different? I don't know. That's true. Right. Well, what made me think of it was when Mark, when you said about how there's something embedded in the psyche of the people. It's just this is how we do. How do we do it differently? You look at Tevye. Tevye was his three problems. One was about, well, so they're still Orthodox Jews, but it's just a matter of she wants to pick her own husband. All right, whatever. And then the second problem was, well, they're still both Jews, but he's just he's a secular Jew, all that kind of stuff. And all right, whatever. The third one was he wasn't Jewish, and not even wasn't Jewish, but was part of the army that was, yeah. It was obviously was making the point, but and so at some point there is no other hand, or at what point do you say, listen, I need to stand my ground because I need to hold on to our way of life, and how do you assimilate without losing your own identity? That's tough. It's not. It's not a new question. It's not a new issue, but certainly, pops up in different ways through time. Yeah, it's like the prime minister and the president. Well, maybe we should acknowledge also not just the unknown soldier, but people that we know. We certainly are thinking of the D'Souza family, as Norm D'Souza's funeral will be tomorrow morning, and the following yahrzeits will be observed at some point during the coming week. Ann Singer, mother of Phil Singer; Samuel Friedman, grandfather of Kathy Roberts; George Goldsmith, father of Vicky Gratz; Frida Edmond, mother of Susan Drucker; Rachel Lebove, aunt of Sharon Weinberg; David Hoffman, grandfather of Jill Zimmerman Calise and father of Bobby Zimmerman; Dorothy Breskman, mother of David Breskman; Albert Meltzer, late husband of Beverly Meltzer. If there's a name you'd like to add, please add. Page 154, Kaddish Yatom, this prayer about life in body, mind, or spirit. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirute, be'amlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam ula'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. And may the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens cause peace to reign among us, all Israel, and all who dwell on earth. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. As together we say, Amen. And what about page 157? Ready?
Oh, okay.
Is that it? I think Korean's going to agree to this one. 157. Yeah. Dal Elohim chai v'yishtabach nimtza ve'ein eid el mitziuto echad ve'ein yachid ki hu yichudo ne'elam v'gam ein sof le'achduto ein lo demut haguf ve'eino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra rishon ve'ein reshit l'reshito hino adon olam l'chol notzar yoreg dulato umalchuto shefa nevuato netano el anshe segulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael kemoshe od navi umabid et temunato Torat emet natan le'amo el al yad nivio neman beito lo yachalif ha'el velo yamir dato le'olamim lezulato Tzofeh v'yodea setarenu mabit lesof davar bekadmato gomel leish chesed kemifalo noten lerashara kerishato yishlach leketz yamin pedut olam Kol chai v'yesh yakir Yeshuato Chaye olam nata b'tochenu Baruch adei ad shem tehilato Chaye olam nata b'tochenu Baruch adei ad shem tehilato. V'shamaru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamaru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Soded HaShabbat Lidorotam Berit Olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael od hi leolam, od hi leolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. La'asod et HaShabbat Lidorotam Berit Olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asod et hashabat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash, Shavat vayinafash, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat, la'asod et hashabat, l'dorotam berit olam. Yom hashabat, bat v'yikat shehem. Amen. L'chaim. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. All right. Reasons. So good. Thank you. Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Kareem. I would love to.